So every now and then I come across a gin that's just completely flown under the radar, but then when you open it and you taste it, it's just absolutely delicious and packed full of flavor. Is this gonna be one of those? Well, today I'm reviewing Sandy Grey Gin, so you're gonna find out, and we're starting right now. G'day folks, my name's Tim and welcome to Tim and Tonic, where we discover the world's best gins and how to drink them. So when I alluded to the fact that this gin was a little bit unassuming, whether it tastes good or not, we're gonna find out very shortly. But what it means is if you look it up online, there's not a lot of advertising or marketing story or fluff or anything like that. You know, it's just really all about the product itself. On Sandy Grey's website, their mission is pretty simple. It's just to create the world's finest spirits. A pretty good mission if you ask me. And I really kind of love that. Like the idea of it being stripped back and just let the quality of the spirit of the liquid do all the talking you need. Other than that, the distillery is named after one of the co-founders, Neil Grey. His father being Sandy Grey, or Alexander Grey was his actual name. To me, from what I've seen, he sounds like a bit of a legend down in the local area, which is right here in Australia, down in Tasmania. That little island, if you're not from Australia, just down the bottom that a lot of people forget about. But definitely no one should forget about Tasmania because they make some amazing spirits. It's really kind of the heart and soul of Australian distilling, originally for whiskey, but more so later now for gin. So this little guy right here has 11 botanicals in the mix. The more traditional ones being juniper and coriander seed, some of our usual suspects, plus angelica root, orris root, licorice root, and then the more contemporary ones being some Tasmanian pepperberry, which is a bit of a favorite amongst Aussie distillers at the moment. We've got some cardamom, we've got some lime peel, we've got some star anise, and some lemongrass. So sounds pretty good to me, but nothing completely wacky or unheard of before, but a really solid profile. You know, sometimes these things, the sum of the parts are greater than, you know, each of them individually. So let's give it a taste and see how it turns out. Oh, wow. There's a lot going on here. Honestly, given the botanical makeup, I expected it to be super traditional, but it's actually very, very interesting. First up, I'm getting a lot of citrusy notes, but not the lime, which is one of the botanicals as I expected, but it's actually more lemony. Maybe that's the combination of the lemongrass with the coriander seed, I don't know. But there's a good punch of cinnamon in there too, and definitely some woodiness. My old mate juniper, no mistaking it. So far we've got citrus, we've got spice, we've got everything nice, juniper, so let's see how it tastes. There is so much flavor there. I honestly did not expect that at all, given how it smelled. What I didn't expect even more is that the smell and the taste are actually quite different. I get a super floral note from this gin, which, to be honest, I've kind of come to expect that sometimes from these more contemporarily made gins that have orris root in them. Orris root is actually the root of the iris flower, so I guess it kind of makes sense, but it is super packed full of floral flavors. But these floral flavors are totally in a good way, because floral flavors run the risk of becoming super soapy and kind of not really pleasant tasting, but this is pretty damn good. Oh man, this is like a big, bold flavored gin, and there is definitely plenty of juniper here. So I have to say, right up my personal alley. On the finish though, it's a little bit more warming, a little bit more peppery. You've got the pepperberry in there, plus that cardamom coming through nicely. Really, really good. It takes you on a bit of a journey flavor-wise. Very, very, very nice indeed. But most of you probably aren't drinking gin neat. You're probably interested to see how this one goes in some mixed drinks and cocktails, so let's do it. So as I always try to, I've gone with the distiller's recommendation. We've got a classic tonic, I've used Fever Tree, plus we've gone with a lime garnish, which I have to say, not very inspiring, but that's what they recommend. And I guess here, it kind of makes sense because, you know, you've got those more traditional, it's trying to be, as Neil Gray said, it's trying to be a more traditional gin, but a flavor forward gin. So, but you've got that kind of lime as a botanical as well. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it tastes. Oh, definitely, unsurprisingly, that kind of floral note that I got before again, which was the first thing I tasted, is definitely front and center. But at the same time, it kind of has this sense of familiarity with those citrus notes and the classic big bold juniper forward. There's so much flavor going on here that, you know, I feel like you could almost put any tonic with it and it wouldn't matter because the gin is still absolutely the star of the show. A lot of the time I say that lime can actually quite overpower a gin and I prefer to use lemon. But in this case, I definitely think lime actually works so well. So yeah, this is a super tasty gin and tonic, but it's packed full of flavor. And definitely if you're not so keen on floral flavors, maybe not for you, but it is super delicious. Okay, so we've done the gin and tonic. I guess that means that it's cocktail time. Now, Sandy Gray didn't have any cocktail recommendations at all, so I've gone with my gut and I've stuck with that lime flavor. It worked well in the gin and tonic, so why not in a cocktail? And I made a classic gimlet. You'll see I used lime cordial here and not fresh citrus and sugar. And I really think that lime cordial is really what makes a gimlet a gimlet. If you use fresh citrus and sugar, it's absolutely delicious, but it's more like a gin sour with lime. With the cordial, especially like I used my own homemade one, it's got more of the flavor of the zest, like that kind of zesty flavor, which you don't get just from the citrus. You could get it if you kind of muddled it, but definitely I think a gimlet is not a gimlet unless you use that zesty cordial. If you want a good recipe for the lime cordial, let me know down in the comments below. Maybe I'll do a video or I'll post a recipe if there's enough demand for it. But if you want to make it with fresh lime and sugar, I'm sure it's still going to be super tasty and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Just whatever you do, please guys, stay away from the artificial, nasty store-bought cordials. Anyway, too much talking. This drink here is getting warm. Let's give it a taste. Oh man, that's super good. I don't know how, but the lime has really tempered down the floral flavors quite a lot and really balanced everything out. These guys at Sandy Gray apparently, I think they do a navy strength version as well, which is pretty similar to this one, just obviously a little bit stronger in alcohol content. So I'll be super interested to see how that goes in a gimlet too. I really love a gimlet because it's still quite a pure, it's kind of like somewhere between that blank canvas sour and a martini. It's kind of that hybrid when you make it with the cordial and stir it like I did. You can shake it too, that's totally fine if you want a lighter kind of a drink, a more kind of lighter texture too. But it's really a pure expression of the cocktail, and the lime, particularly with the Sandy Gray, it just works. I mean, it's a botanical in the gin, but more than just it being a botanical in the gin, it actually enhances everything else, balances everything out, smooths out, and makes this drink just super tasty. Anyway, enough about the cocktail. Basic specs, we're talking a 500ml bottle, it's 46% alcohol, and it's $65 Australian. I don't think they export it outside of Australia yet. Okay, let's knock off the price first because 65 bucks is pretty much the standard for a 500ml bottle here in Australia. It's pretty much what every second distillery is charging. Flavor-wise, I have to say you're getting a bit of a flavor bomb here, and at 46% to pack all that extra flavor in, that's actually pretty good value. This gin may just find its way into my regular rotation now. When you look at it, the bottle itself, it's classy but understated. There's nothing crazy going on there, but then boom, when you taste it, it's just an absolute cracker. I talk a lot about balance, and this gin has a lot of competing and complex flavors in it, that's for sure. But somehow, really, especially when you start mixing into cocktails, nothing kind of outshines one or the other. They just all come through at the same time, which just keeps you coming back for more every single time. So guys, I 100% recommend the Sandy Grey gin. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you want to discover more amazing gins just like this one, start right now by clicking subscribe just up here so you don't miss out on any new reviews as they come out on the channel. In the meantime, click through the playlist here to see the reviews I've already done. Cheers guys, nothing more to say. See you next time.